The future of Hooters racing begins today. With the announcement that the late model Hooters series is going away, the focus is now on the Jackaroo Pro Cup series. Today, the final event of 1997, a year of thrills and chills. And a glimpse of what's to come. It was 10 months ago that the inaugural Pro Cup Series started at USA International Speedway here in Lakeland, Florida. Chad Chapin won that very first race. And tonight, it's time to crown a champion as we have the Commander's Cup 250. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick DeBrule. I got to tell you, all kinds of stories to talk about. Start with rain. It rained most of the day. We're hoping it doesn't rain tonight. The next story is the crowning of the champion. The guy in this car right here, Mario Gosselin, all he has to do is start this race, and guess what? He will be the champion. It's just that simple. The next story to tell you about involves the race for the Rookie Championship. We have 4 guys who are duking it out right now. Obviously, it's not as important as the main championship. It's worth $5,000. But more importantly, what it gives you is status. It gives you the ability to go to a sponsor next year and say, guess what? I was the Rookie of the Year last year. I deserve a great ride. One other story to tell you about involves the guy that's in this car. Now, normally, you'd see Chad Chapin in the number 84 car. Well, guess what? Just before qualifying today, he blew the engine in that car. As a result, he had to rent a car from Sammy Potashnik. You got 2 laps in this thing today. I guess the question is, are you ready to go 200 laps in a race, Chad Chapin?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, the only laps we got was the time trials, but the car runs real good. Sam and Sam Potashnik and Sammy, they're real good people, and they got a real nice car, and Bobby Daughter does a setup on it. The car was just on a rail. I mean, it was easy to do it. The car's just that good. I really appreciate this. We really needed it to keep our position in the points.
You run a little bit of a risk. I mean, you weren't going for the championship here. You were just out to win the race. Why jump in this car?
Well, you know, we still have second place at points at stake, and the difference in the second place and the third place in money, you know, and the points was worth trying to rent a car, and it's really a shame, though, the 84 car was good enough to win the race. NNS car was really flying today. We probably had a pole-winning car, but couldas and shouldas don't count. This is what we got, and we're going to do the best we can with it.
Chad Chapin about to do the best he can in what is now the number 5 car as he gets set to go racing here in the Commander's Cup 250. All right. Time to get this race underway. Let's go up to Ray Dunlap and Larry Rice.
Well, thank you, Rick, and welcome, everyone, to the final event of 1997 for the USAR Pro Cup Series. Bob Shack from Chapin, South Carolina, on the pole today alongside Gene Morgan. There is the champion, Mario Gosselin, in the Jackaroo car, and Jay Fogelman will start 4th in the car number 41.
Mike Laughlin and Lee Tissett will start in row number 3. Lee Tissett, one of the guys in the running for the Rookie of the Year. Sammy Potashnik will start on the inside of row number 4 alongside of Brad May.
And we'll take a look at where your favorite drivers are. There from 9th all the way back to 19th, making his first start today, Jeff Wogeman. He'll start 10th today in car number 01. He's from Fort Myers, Florida.
Yes, as you're taking a look on back, Justin Labonte starts back in row number, in position number 21, and we have 41 cars that are going to start this race, a whole passel of race cars on this racetrack.
Randy Churchill in car number 4 making up the tail of the field. A big field of cars here on the 3/4 mile, and it has been some very serious inclement weather most of the day. This is what we've had to deal with throughout the day here at USA International Speedway. About a 4-hour rain delay, so it's been a long time getting this race started.
Yeah, it's been a tough day on everybody, and it increases the tension the guys have to go through when you're sitting there waiting. I mean, everybody comes here, they're geared up, they want to get going. It rains, you've got to sit around for 3 or 4 hours. It kind of gets on your nerves.
Well, hopefully the nerves will be straightened out as we get ready to go racing here on the USA International Speedway. Taking a look at the track map, 14 degrees, the banking in the corners. Back straightaway, 825 feet, and the entire pit road is on the front stretch. So all the fans will be able to see what their drivers are doing. On board right now with Brad May in car number 70.
Yes, we're going to take a ride with him in this car, and this is going to should be a good ride. He's been running very well all year long. Mario Gosselin, of course, he's been very tough all year as well, and he is going to have one of our onboard campers.
Mario Gosselin, the 1997 champion, by just firing his engine tonight here at the USA International Speedway. There is a look at the points coming into the race tonight. And Chad Chaffin was talking about trying to hold on to second place there. Gary Layton in third with Gene Morgan, Jerry Rector, Lester Lesneski will be in sixth. Then Marty Ward, Tim Edwards, Doc McKinney, and Charlie Ford make up the top 10 in the 1997 championship chase.
Yes, and here's the rookie standings. Brad May now leads those. Sammy Potashnik running in second. So several guys still have a chance at that. And like Rick said, a lot of prestige there.
So Sammy Potashnik loaning a car to Chad Chaffin, and he's right there in the thick of this points battle. We're going to get the race underway here from USA International Speedway when we come back after these messages. Today's running of the Commander's Cup 250 is being brought to you by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. And by Jackaroo Meat Sauce. If you've got regular meat sauce, you ain't got Jack. And by Naturally Fresh Pure Spring Mountain Water. It's naturally refreshing.
Well, everybody is lined up. The pace cars on the racetrack, they're going to come around. This time around, we should see the green flag. And with 41 cars on the racetrack, should be an exciting lap number 1.
The lights are off on the pace car. Gene Morgan in car number 45 from Simpsonville, South Carolina on the outside. And Bob Schacht in the engineered components number 75 on the pole today. Great qualifying run for Schacht, who originally lived up in the Chicagoland area and relocated down to the south to go professional racing. On the pole tonight here on the 3/4 mile USA International Speedway.
Yeah, it should be one of his best qualifying spot of all year long. And he's going to try to get the jump, and he does, coming off of turn 4.
Green flag is out down the front straightaway. All 41 cars roar to life, and we're underway with the Commander's Cup 250.
You can see that Gene Morgan just doesn't want to let him have that. He's stuck right with him going around the outside as everybody else still running 2 by 2 back behind them.
Jay Fogelman in car number 4 to the outside of Mario Goslin. Looks like he's got a run for third place. He's going to go to the outside of Schacht, and it's going to be 3 wide down the front straightaway, and Goslin says, I don't think so.
Well, right now, Schacht doesn't seem to be getting a very good start. He's already fallen back to third spot. Gene Morgan just went right around him on the outside and, you know, just made it look pretty easy, actually.
Libby Hill, the sponsor on Jay Fogelman's car, as he moves into second place from 4th to 2nd in 1 lap. You're right, Schacht now somewhat off the pace as he has dropped back to 5th place and being challenged now by Marty Ward, and Ward will take the position. Yeah,
I'm not sure whether they changed something before the start of the race or this rain just changed the racetrack and they didn't adjust for it. Whatever happened, he's desperately going to have to hang on until the first pit stop because something's definitely not right in the handling of that race car.
Brad May in the number 70 car having a pretty good start here down the front straightaway, running in 3rd position, tucked in right behind the Libby Hill car of Jay Fogelman.
Yes, Jeff Wogelman back there in the 01 car. He's running very well up there in front as well. And you can see right there that Morgan hanging on, but he's getting a little bit of a challenge back there.
Well, we're going to have trouble today if I got to say Fogelman and Wogelman. But he has a good run for his very first start in this Jackaroo Pro Cup Series.
Yeah, we got 2 or 3 cars up there on battling right now. Marty Ward making himself known as he tries on the outside. He is running back there in 4th place right now, trying to get around the outside. Didn't make it work that time. But these guys pretty anxious. Last race of the year, they all want to do well. They all want to have bragging rights for the end of the year, and racing pretty hard here at the beginning of this race.
Marty Ward, a one-time winner this season. He picked up the victory at Peach State Speedway, and he would love nothing more than to get the victory today in the final event of 1997. Down the front straightaway, a challenge for the lead now as Fogelman takes a look to the inside. But I believe Gene Morgan's going to hold him off, and just as I say that, here comes Fogelman again down the front straightaway. Battle for first, and I'm not sure who got that.
Well, I think Morgan's held him off, but Fogelman's definitely down on the inside. Morgan likes that to run a little bit higher, but he's running just high enough right now. Fogelman's on the inside of him and seems to be able to hang on down there on the bottom side. Marty Ward, on the other hand, he's going around on the outside as he's taking over 2nd or 3rd place from Brad May.
Oh, some tight racing coming off of turn number 4. A little bit of contact there between Marty Ward And Gene Morgan, he's going to go to the outside this time. Marty Ward slides are a little bit high, and that's not going to get the quick way around this track.
No, he went just a little bit high, but he didn't lose much ground. He brought the race car back down, held the position, but he did not make the pass. Gosselin right behind him, applying some pressure on him. There's just action all over these front 6 or 8 cars.
Battle for third place down the front straightaway as Brad May is to the inside, Marty Ward to the outside, and it looks like Mario Gosselin's going to tuck in right on the back of Marty Ward, and they're going to make that pass.
Yeah, all those guys, the higher groove seems to be working extremely well here tonight. The rain probably washed off some of the rubber that was right down on the bottom of the racetrack, so the higher groove is working a little bit better.
We'll be back with more of the Commander's Cup 250 from Lakeland Speedway after this. Back to the Commander's Cup 250 at Lakeland Speedway. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you the final event of 1997 in this USAR Jackaroo Pro Cup Series.
Yes, and you can see right there, Bob Shack kind of getting going a little bit better than he was earlier. He just went around Brad May. I'm not sure whether he just, the tires were cold, the setup was bad on the race car, whatever the reason. He all of a sudden, after a few laps, the tires got warmed up, and he's getting going a little better.
Good battle on the racetrack right now as Chad Chaffin comes down the front straightaway, racing along there with the 24 of Chuck Walls. Walls making a infrequent appearance here in 1997. And these two are battling for position. They've been swapping back and forth for about the last 8 laps.
Yeah, Chad Chapman's working on him quite hard at the moment. Looks like he's really wanting to get around, wanting to get up there in the mix of things. We heard him say, you can look at the racetrack right there. You can tell where the racetrack has been dried and where it's still a little bit wet. I think one of the problems they're having down on that bottom side is down there within a couple of feet of that yellow line down there, it's still a little bit wet. The real dry part, you can see it very clearly right there, the dry part and the wet part. You get up out of that about 3 car lengths up, it's still pretty wet racetrack up there.
Well, this is the 3rd event of 1997 that they ran here at the USA International Speedway for this division, and it's rained every time we've come here.
Yes, it has. It's been, I'm not sure whether if you lived here you'd notice it so much. It seems like every time we come here for the racing that it's been awful. You know, lightning and thunder, and it's definitely affected the racers and the crowds and everything else. But it's been some really terrific racing at this racetrack. This is a really nice facility.
Well, and a lot of people hanging on throughout the afternoon here, coming to watch a race, and they said, by golly, we're going to see one, and it's underway now. This is the last event of 1997, and as Rick told you at the top of the show, no more late models in 1998. This will be the premier division in the USAR racing family.
We're going to have a 20-race series. It's going to be terrific. They've got a tentative schedule out already, and it looks like they're going to have a great series next year. Right now, Jay Fogelman has taken over the lead from Gene Morgan. Gene Morgan in second, but Jay Fogelman now your leader.
So Fogelman having a pretty good run tonight here at USA International Speedway. A new paint job on that number 4 car as he comes down the front straightaway. Sponsorship from the folks at Libby Hill.
Yeah, and he's opened up a fairly good lead right now. Gene Morgan, as the race goes on, he was very, very strong early, but seems to be fading slightly. Still running in second place, though. As we take a look further back, that's Sammy Potashnik right there, and he's hanging on over Lee Tissett. Both those guys rookies in that rookie battle.
So those guys not only racing on the racetrack, but racing for that prestige of winning Rookie of the Year. Now coming into turn number 1 and 2, a little bit of a battle there between Morgan and Marty Ward, and look right behind him. There's that 10 car. It seems like we see him up front a lot, don't we?
Yeah, he sure do. He's always in the battle, and they're all catching up with Jay Fogelman. He got into lap traffic, got into the cars down on the inside, and it kind of slowed him up a little bit. He did not get through that lap traffic nearly as easily as he did when he's out there running all by himself. So we're going to have to see how that's going to play out, because there's going to be a lot of lap traffic here today with 41 cars on the racetrack. Looks like he's got something dragging down there.
Yeah. Like he might be throwing some sparks from the front end to the left front there of the 4 car.
Yeah, he's just got the thing set so low, it looks like that it's just dragging, and you can even see it going down the straightaway over a couple of little slight bumps. It is dragging even down the straightaway.
Well, Larry, you had talked about the 1998 schedule. They have talked about it. There's going to be 20 events on the schedule, and the first race in 1998 will be right here at USA International Speedway on March 1st. So if you want to see some Jackaroo Pro Cup racing, get your tickets. They'll be going to all over the country, going to Mobile, Peach State, off to Langley Speedway in Hampton, Virginia. Great little racetrack there. Tri-County Motor Speedway. They're off to Concord Motorsports Park in Charlotte. They'll be at Tri-County Motor Speedway, Caraway Speedway, so these guys will be racing all over for the 1998 championship.
Yeah, and a huge variety in racetracks among those two. You know, everything from the quarter miles to the big racetracks like this. So it's going to be a very taxing on the drivers to get that whole thing put together. You know, you're going to have probably a couple of different cars for two different speedways.
Well, and a lot of that is what draws the fans out and the drivers for a series like this when you go traveling. The diversity of going to all those racetracks really makes you a better driver.
Well, we got a big crash. Talking about some better drivers, we got some guys in trouble back there. That's the 86 car. That's Thomas Beamer, looks like, who's sitting sideways.
Yeah, and Chuck Walls, too, in the 24. So Walls and Beamer will bring out the first caution tonight here at USA International Speedway.
Yeah, and obviously Walls had been running very well. He'd been running up there near the front. Beamer as well was running up close to the front.
Well, looks like both of those drivers are okay. We're going to take a short time out. Back with more racing on ESPN after this. Welcome back to Lakeland, Florida for the Commanders Cup 250. We were under caution as two cars got together down the back straightaway. They've cleared them up, and we're ready to go back to racing. The 33 car down on the inside, of course, the lapped cars will line up there. That's Derek Countryman, and right alongside him, the number 19 of Kent Baltzell. So two drivers a lap down now, and the green is back out. Jay Fogelman gets on the gas real well and gets right away from Gene Morgan.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars still on the lead lap. 76 laps in, and most of the guys still running on the lead lap, which speaks well for this series. It means they've got a very, very competitive series when you got that many guys hanging on to the lead lap after 76 laps.
There's your top five moving back through the field. You see Wogoman in the 0-1 running an 8th. That's a good run for him. Chad Chaffin there in the top 10, and looking back through, Brad Beans will round out the top 15.
Yes, a little on farther back, Charlie Ford not having nearly as good a run as we might expect him to have here. Mickey Hudspeth back in 20th position. All those rookies were right there together. Brad May, Sammy Potashnik, Lee Tissot, all those guys running fairly close to each other in the top 10, so should be a close battle. These guys got a lot at stake.
We'll keep our eye on it throughout the race here. Up front, it is Jay Fogelman in the number 4 car. Then it's Morgan. And look at this battle. Back in the back, there's the Tampico Citrus Punch car of Gary Layton. And Layton comes into this race third in the points, and he needs to race his way to the front. There's Charlie Ford that you had mentioned in the number 55, and they are working in some heavy traffic back there as Jerry Rector tries to make the move down to the inside in the number 77. Boy, there's some great racing here in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Gary Layton's really working hard to get up front. He knows there's a lot at stake in that point standings, and he didn't have all that great a qualifying time, so he's working his tail off, trying to move towards the front, and has gained a lot of position, but he's got a lot yet to go.
Somewhat of a surprise in 1997, Larry, not to see that 74 car in victory lane. They have run so well week in and week out, but they have not won yet. Chad Chaffin, Mario Goslin, Marty Ward, and Gene Morgan, all those drivers have won in 1997, but surprisingly not Gary Layton.
Yeah, it's been some tough. He's had some very bad luck. He's run very well on occasion, but just didn't seem to be able to put it all together at the right time to come home in victory lane, and I'm sure he's a little upset with that, but in all, they've had a good season. They've run well.
Back to the front, Fogelman is up there, and then it is a 4-car freight train right behind him. And you're right, Bob Shack seems to be getting it back together a little bit now in the Engineered Components Ford. The number 75 there was on the pole and fell way back right after the green flag, but now he seems to be getting a handle on that car. And like you said, it may be just that the racetrack's starting to come to him.
Well, you know, it could have been several things, but I think one of the things was the racetrack was a little bit wet. It was a little bit different. I think he was being very, very cautious at the start of the race. After he got things kind of lined out, the race car, the tires got a little heat in them. He certainly has picked up the pace and right back in there. As we go a little bit farther back, that's Sammy Potashnik there with Wogelman, who battling each other. And there's Brad May, one of the other rookies. Like we said, these rookies all running within 2 or 3 positions of each other.
Well, Potashnik is just 2 cars behind there, behind Brad May, but May having a decent run tonight in that number 70 car. Back to the lead right now as we see the cars coming off a turn number 4. They will again have some lap traffic to deal with pretty soon, but it seems like when Fogelman gets out on open racetrack, he's able to get away from that second pack.
Yeah, in open field, he is very, very tough. He doesn't get through the traffic quite as well if there's heavy traffic. One car at a time, he does pretty well, but he did not get through the bunches of cars nearly as easily as some of these other guys. Gene Morgan hanging on to second, but boy, he's getting all sorts of pressure.
See some hand signals there in the number 10 car, Mario Goslin, as he is waving to Bob Shack saying, take the high side, go out to the outside, and I don't think Shack likes that. He's looking really low in the center of the turn.
Now, Bob Shack has run that low groove all day long, or all night long. He's been right on the bottom of the racetrack. That's where he has set his race car up to run, and when he tries to make a pass, he's tried to make almost all of them on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Shack, a many-time winner in the Arcabondo Marhide Series. One of the tracks I think that he was the most impressive on was Pocono. There was a racetrack there where for years no one could ever get a good handle on that racetrack, and Bob Shack really showed him how over there. He has an excellent record on that three-turn racetrack in eastern Pennsylvania.
Well, and that's another, that's why he probably runs as well at this racetrack. This is a big, fast racetrack. The guys who like those kinds of speedways, of course, it's not nearly as big as Pocono, but I mean, this is a fast speedway, and the guys who like the speed and like the big, wide-open racetrack like it here at Lakeland.
This racetrack somewhat similar to Milwaukee, I guess, Larry, although not quite as flat bank, but I think the drivers say you drive it similarly.
Right. Milwaukee, of course, I think is one of the best flat tracks in the whole country because it's so competitive, so many grooves on a very flat racetrack. And this racetrack as well has 2 grooves almost every time we've seen it.
See the Slim Jim car of Justin Labonte coming down the front straightaway and making a move there going around Chad Chaffin. So Chaffin's car not performing anywhere as well as he had hoped to. Justin Labonte, the son of Terry Labonte, coming down the front straightaway from Trinity, North Carolina. And he is right there racing alongside the 16 of Derek Kelly.
Yeah, Derek Kelly doing a nice job as well. He's working right on Justin Labonte, but both of them, right on. You can see right there, he got down there. That's wet racetrack that he got down on, and it's very, very tricky. You got to make sure you know what you're doing when you're down there.
Oh, yeah, just about got away from him again there, Larry, coming off of turn number 3. So these cars somewhat squirrely tonight here. And the number 1 car is about to go a lap down as Jay Fogelman goes around the outside of Don Satterfield.
Fogelman got his race car really hooked up, and it's running faster. You can see a little smoke there on the infield. I'm not sure what that was all about. I thought maybe somebody on the racetrack had spun, but I guess not.
Kevin Heath in the number 2 car is the next victim for our leader, Jay Fogelman, and he is going to dispose of him rather quickly. Heath does the wise thing, moves down to the inside and lets the leaders go. But now look at the distance that is being separated between second place and that next pack as we widen out a little bit. There comes Gene Morgan in the 45, and he is getting away now from Mario Goslin in the 10 car.
Yeah, he has pulled out to a 5 or 6 car length lead over Goslin and seems to be gaining a little bit on Fogelman now. So Fogelman hanging on very easily to the lead at this point, but Morgan looks like he's going to make a challenge before long.
The last race we ran here at USA International Speedway, the winner was Gene Morgan.
And look at this, Marty Ward in the pits behind the wall out of the race car as he walks into the trailer. Tough break for Marty Ward. Marty Ward has not had a very successful year in terms of being able to finish racing.
No, that's for sure. And after the exhibition season of 1996 where he won all the races, this certainly has not been the kind of year he would like. Oh, and trouble over in the turn as the 19 car has gotten sideways.
Oh, let's take a look. Somebody else got it sideways, spun down there trying to miss him, but the 19 car of Kent Boltzell is up against the fence. You can see where he backed it into the fence.
We're under caution once again, so we'll have more racing when we come back to USA International Speedway.
Well, Brad May brings his number 70 car in with his new sponsorship, Naturally Fresh. The reason they brought it in now is they think they can go the rest of the distance now when they make this pit stop. And if we go ahead and pan up pit lane, we can see we've got others who have come in as well. We have got Mike Laughlin right there, and as I look up, we've got the first place car of Jay Fogelman that's come in, Bob Shack, who qualified on the pole. They have all come in. It's one of those strategic moves. These guys think by coming in now, going ahead and making the tire change, that they can go the distance. They didn't have to pit now from a fuel standpoint. They could go much further, but now strategically is when they want to get it done. Turning back to Brad May's car, they've ordered change to the right side. They're going to work on the left side. They got to get that left front lug nuts on properly, and they can't get it done. It's going to cost them because here the field is starting to come by. Brad May, they need to get this on and get him out of here. If they don't, it's going to cost them. And in fact, the field is starting to go by. He's got to get out. Oh, and we almost have a collision. We do have a collision on pit row right there. helping him as it is.
Oh, and what a tough break for Brad May to go a lap down at this point of the race. He was running so well, and now he's going to be a lap down to the leader.
Well, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get that lap back. Everybody seems to be running so well, and there's so many cars on the lead lap that it makes it very hard.
Not quite sure what happened there, Larry. It looked like that left front tire there, maybe they had some lug nuts that got hung up. They just weren't able to get that pit stop completed in time.
Yeah, it took a long time for him to get that thing back on, and it just cost him a lap.
And a couple of drivers have headed back into the pit, so let's go back down to Rick.
Mike Laughlin brings his car in for a second pit stop. They're going to go ahead and change the left side. And as we look back behind him, we can see that Brad May has also brought his car in for that second pit stop. They're going to go ahead and go to work on the right front. He is now already a lap down, so this is going to be a big problem in his race for the Rookie Championship. Mike Laughlin heads out. Meanwhile, the crew still working on the right front of Brad May's car. Now, the pace car coming around. This time he gets out in time without any damage. Bobby Lance, the crew chief for Brad May. Let's talk about what happened there. You brought him in early strategically, but it didn't go as well as you planned.
No, it didn't. But first, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell Naturally Fresh Foods and Jackaroo Meat Sauce that we appreciate their confidence that they're giving us. It didn't look too good just then. We had an equipment failure, and one of our tires we put on went down. We're back out. We lost the lap. We'll get back up.
Now, you had a little nudge with somebody at the end of pit lane. Do any damage?
No, no damage. We thought it did. That's why we brought him back in. We thought the right front tire was flat. It wasn't, but it wasn't handling properly, so we changed it anyway.
Now it's time to go racing.
We're ready to go.
And Larry, I think a lot of his job now as a crew chief is to coach Brad May through the rest of this race, because he's got to drive with his head on and still try to get back up there on that lead lap.
Well, for young guys, it's very easy to get frustrated and go out there and do something get in a big hurry, do something that's not very smart. So you're right. It's a big part of his job to settle him down and say, you've got lots of time. It's a long way to go. So just take it easy and move your way back up through there. We'll get our lap back. And give him the confidence that he can do that. And I think that's what a good team is all about, when the crew chief and the driver can communicate.
250 laps the distance in today's Commander's Cup race here at USA International Speedway. We have just passed lap 100, and Gene Morgan from Simpsonville, South Carolina, in the Valonite number 45 is the leader. But boy, I'll tell you what, he's getting some serious pressure now from Mario Gosling.
Yes, he certainly is. Those two guys have kind of pulled away from everybody else on the racetrack. And it's going to be interesting to see if the strategy works out for these guys. Some of the other guys, Fogelman, some of the other guys came in, made an early pit stop, want to get back out so they'll have track position, because Gene Morgan, Mario Gosling, all these guys still have to make a pit stop. They're going to end up, Fogelman's going to end up back up near the front. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And look at that, Gene Morgan's car getting a little bit sideways there coming off of turn number 2, so it may be at a point where these tires are about to start giving up on these guys that are up front.
Well, you know, so far everything, they shouldn't be getting that bad. I mean, they should be able to hang on. Oh, Jeremy Gerstner is sideways down on the inside. That'll bring out the yellow.
Yeah, Larry, a little bit ago I said Kevin Heath was driving the 2 car when he went a lap down. I apologize. Jeremy is in the race car, and he has brought out the yellow, so we're going to take another break. Back with more racing in the Commander's Cup 250 after these messages. Welcome back to the 11th event of 1997. Tonight is the final race at the USA International Speedway. We have already crowned the champion in the USAR Jackaroo Pro Cup Series. That is Mario Gosling. But we still have a race winner to be determined here tonight. And right now it looks like Gene Morgan's got things working pretty well his way.
Yeah, Lee Tissett's moved up to second place. And look at Brad May. That was him ducking down on the inside. He desperately wants to get that lap back. And right now he has Gene Morgan between himself and getting that lap back. I don't know. That's not going to be easy to do.
Made a left-hand turn and went around the Hawk Saw Blades number 1 of Don Satterfield just like that. We'll have to see if the officials say that that's okay. But you're right. Look at Lee Tissett. Boy, he has come on strong in the 47 car, and he is running well.
He certainly is. Tissett hanging on there. Of course, he doesn't want Brad May to get that lap back. Those guys in a battle for the rookie standings, and he's quite happy to see Brad May that lap down right now.
That's right. Brad May would be credited right now with 26th position, so they would love to keep him right there.
Yes, they certainly would. He's done a nice job. He was far back in the field behind a lot of other lap cars, has moved back up into a position where he has a heck of a chance now of moving back in front of Gene Morgan, and he's getting a little pressure on Gene Morgan right now.
Well, they're putting on a pretty good show for the folks at Naturally Fresh here. New sponsorship on that car number 70. Of course, Brad May comes from Orlando, Florida, and he's having a good run, but nowhere near as good as Gene Morgan.
Yes, Lester Lesniewski in that black car back there, he's in third position. So it's going to be a tough battle as we take a look a little bit farther back in the field.
Well, Larry, right there, the 81 car is Greg Marlowe, and he's having a pretty good run as he tries to go to the outside of Derek Countryman. Can he get the pass done in that part of the turn? He does it. He's going to make that move and take that position away from Countryman.
Tim Neighbors right in front of him in that 0 car. So these guys having quite a battle back here. That's Justin Labonte in the 44. So quite a battle back there a little ways in the pass.
I'll tell you, that Labonte boy is sure a nice kid. He really is got a good future ahead of him.
And he's a pretty good racer. He's running here with some pretty good race car drivers and doing a great job, too.
So Brad May right now there moves up on the back bumper of Gene Morgan. Of course, May a lap down and trying to get himself back in the lead lap. And if the caution would come out, that would really play to his advantage.
Yeah, he's working very hard on Gene Morgan right now. And Morgan seems to be a little bit loose. You can see that race car every once in a while. The back end just shakes loose just a little bit. Gives Brad May a bit of a chance to run up under him. But so far, just hasn't had enough oomph to get off of the corner. He gets into the corner and through the middle pretty good, but coming off, Morgan just kind of pulls away from him.
Well, Gene Morgan coming into the race tonight was 5th on the lap leaders chart for 1997. He has led 239 laps coming into this race, but if he's able to stay where he's at tonight, he'll move up considerably because he's right there in a battle with guys like Marty Ward and Brad May, all those guys right around the 250 laps led, and of course Marty Ward out of the race and May's a lap down.
And here goes Fogelman. He's working his way back up. Remember, he made a pit stop, and he fell way back in the leaders, or from the leaders, because he made that pit stop. Now he's back up with Gary Layton, trying to get underneath him and move his way back towards the front. Every one of these cars that he gets around now just increases his advantage when everybody else has to go into the pits later on.
Well, we saw Fogelman go into the pits, also Bob Schacht and Mike Laughlin, and all 3 of those cars took on 4 tires, so that really should be a big advantage for them here, let's say another 50 laps from now.
Well, the track position is going to mean a lot when those other guys make their final pit stop, and that's what they're counting on. Now, what they don't know for sure is how the tires are going to be affected. They've had awful good tires all year long. They've been able to run 150 laps. Oh, we see another spin back there.
Jeremy gets it looped around one more time. Jeremy Gerstner in the number 2 car. Is that going to bring out a yellow? I believe it will.
Boy, he's kind of in a precarious position back there pulling up. There's nobody coming down the racetrack, but he is back on the road, but the yellow flag will come out.
Lester Lesniewski heads to the pits in car number 6, and we're going to take a break. 117 laps are complete here at Lakeland.
Welcome back to USA International Speedway here in Lakeland, Florida. I got to tell you, it's really come full circle. The very first race we had out here at the beginning of the season way back in February, guess what happened that weekend? It rained. Well, we've been living under the rain all day today. In fact, we're starting this race about 4 hours, 5 hours later than we had anticipated. The big question now is it going to rain anymore? Well, some drivers are gambling in that. Others think, you know what, they're going to go the whole distance. Now it's time to go race again. Let's go back up to Ray and Larry.
Well, we had another caution for the number 2 car as he spun going down the back straightaway, and that brought out the yellow, so the field is now bunched up once again. And Brad May is getting antsy, Larry. He's saying, let's go. I'm going to get that lap back.
Well, he certainly is. He wants very desperately to get that lap back. Gene Morgan is gambling. I think Rick is right that the rain will come, so he's staying out on the racetrack, and that's a pretty big gamble at this point.
So Morgan will continue to be the leader. Lee Tissett in the number 47 car is running second right behind him. Oh, and some contact on the racetrack there. That looked like that might have been Mario Goslin.
Yeah, there was some contact back there in the back, but Brad May does have, oh, yes, look at Goslin. He has a right front tire that's down. He's trying to get that thing woven, get to the bottom of the racetrack, and get in the pit area.
The 1997 champion with troubles here at Lakeland.
Tough break for Mario Goslin, and he's going to lose at least 1 lap as he makes his way into the pit area, and maybe more.
Mario Goslin has racked up 8 top 5s this season and 5 victories, but not tonight here at Lakeland. Let's get back down to Rick DeBrule.
Mario Goslin brings his car in. He's got a blown right front tire. Apparently it was cut. They pull it off. They replace the tire, and he should be able to get back into and they are doing well. They are going to work on the body work on the back, some sheet metal work, trying to pull it out, pull it away so they don't have any further problems with that. Crew trying to get that right front tire on, working on the lug nuts, trying to get it on, making sure that it's secure. At this point, he's already won his championship. He needs to make sure that he gets in there and does it safely.
What a tough break for Mario Gosselin there, making contact with the wall and going to the pits now, so he will be out of contention for the win.
Yeah, they were having a heck of a time getting that right front tire back on there, too. You can see him having trouble getting the nuts all on and everything, so it's going to cost him a lot of laps and a tough break because the contact on that right side, pulling the fenders out and everything, just takes a long time to get that stuff going again.
Saw on the graphic there that Gene Morgan was the Royal Purple Lubricants halfway leader. Larry, we talk about competition a lot in this series, but in the last 5 races, there have been 5 different drivers leading it halfway.
Yes, it's been a very competitive series all year long. Oh, you can see Mario Gosselin still having trouble with that car. He's pulled it back down to the inside, something dragging as he went around the corner. So he's going to have to be heading back for the pit area, I think, because he's way on the inside of the racetrack.
Looked like that right front tire was towed out a bit, so they'll go back to work on the Jackaroo car, try to get him back in there. Of course, the points race is wrapped up. All he had to do was fire the engine today. Came into this race with a 176-point lead over Chad Chaffin. So this will not affect the 1997 championship.
No, it's, you know, it's always good to go out with a win. I'm sure that he wanted to win this race, but if you've got to have some bad luck, I guess this is as good a time as any to have it.
Gene Morgan having nothing but good luck tonight in the number 45 car as his car is hooked up here at Lakeland. And as we said a little earlier, he won the last race here. The first event of 1997 was won by Chad Chaffin, and it appears that Chad is off the pace tonight as he's driving a backup car that he got from Sam Potashnik. And look at this, the Jackaroo car of Mario Gosselin. Looked like they were going to go behind the wall, and now he might go take a few more laps. And no, now he's going to go behind the wall.
Now he's heading for behind the wall. He just can't quite get it bent, get it in there, but looks like his day is done. That's a tough break for him. Just wanted to mention that Brad May is on the same lap. He's still ahead of Gene Morgan, so he does have his lap back.
So Gene Morgan is the leader, but Brad May is back in the thick of it here, and he is saying to himself, man, I hope somebody hits the wall and brings out the yellow.
He wants to see a yellow very badly, believe me.
Well, Mario Gosselin is climbing out of the Jackaroo car, and our Rick DeBrule is standing right with him.
Well, Mario Gosselin, not the way you want to finish out this season. Fortunately, all those good finishes early on helped you. I guess the big question we're going to start with before we get about the big picture is what happened out there to put you out of the race?
Well, you know, we got underneath a couple guys getting in the corner there, and I don't think they knew I was there. The guy come down on me, cut the right front tire. We cut the right front tire, come around to change the tire. The sway bar was dragging, probably dragged the Heim off the sway bar. We don't have no more sway bar. Well, obviously, we can't run like that. We're going to be about 10 laps down before we go back out there. Our point deal is done. We're here to win. We're not going to win from 10 laps down. Jackaroo, meat sauce, steakhouse, Contour yachts.
Let's talk about what a great year it's been.
Well, you know, I mean, if we're going to have some bad luck, we might as well have it after the points are wrapped up. I'm not complaining. I've had a lot of luck this year.
Earlier this year, we were wondering if you had any bad luck.
Well, you know, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. Like I say, I'm glad the points are out of the way. It's a shame we had a good car. We could have won this thing.
Congratulations, at least on the championship.
Thank you.
What a great season for Mario Gosselin. We saw the yellow flag waving behind his head there as Rick was talking to him, and that is because the number 12 car of Tim Edwards has made some pretty significant contact with the wall, and he's going to have to head to the pits.
Yeah, it looked like he slid down into that right front corner into that inside wall, so it's going to be a long pit stop for him as well.
Here's a look at the top 5. We'll be back with more racing from Lakeland, Florida. Welcome back to Lakeland, Florida. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you the action from the Commander's Cup 250. Now, throughout the season, we have seen a lot of strategy taking place on pit stops. Tonight's race appears to be just the same.
Gene Morgan finally comes in for that pit stop that he has held off on for so long. Crew going to work, making a tire change on the right side, getting ready to the left side. And as we look back just a ways, we can see that Lee Tissett has also brought his car in. So the top 2 guys have brought their cars in, making the pit stop that they needed to do. The question is strategically whether they've made a mistake. Should they have come in, are they going to have a harder time battling their way back up through the guys who have already gotten up and done their pit stops earlier? We see Sammy Potashnik going back out up. Lee Tissot's gone out. Lee Tissot still has a gas can attached to him. Hang on for a second. We look out here. Lee Tissot still has a gas can attached to his car right there. Now we've also got Gene Morgan going back out. Busy pit lane, but fortunately no one being hurt by that gas can.
So a bit of trouble down there on the pit road as the cars are all trying to get back out and get lined up as we get ready to go back to racing here at Lakeland, Florida. The field is lined up with Justin Labonte in the 44 Slim Jim car to the inside. He'll be shown as 1 lap down, and Jabe Jones is going to be the leader.
Jabe Jones has been hanging around. He has not made a pit stop yet, so that's the reason he is up there in front. But he has been able to hang on to the lead lap, and he is gambling that maybe there will be some rain here before the end of this race. If he wins his gamble, he could win the race.
Oh, that would be something, wouldn't it? Jabe Jones from Martin, Georgia will be the leader as we go back to Green Flag Racing at lap 143. And just behind him is the 16 car of Derek Kelly in the Discount Auto Parts car. And Kelly having a great run tonight.
Yes, he is. He's run very, very well. He's also gambling on that pit stop. He stayed out on the racetrack, and right now running in second position. These cars are so equal, and everybody's running so well here, but it's hard for the guys who have made the pit stops to battle their way back up through and get past these guys that are still on the racetrack. So it's a very, very competitive race, and some guys taking a gamble one way, some guys taking a gamble the other way. Fogelman, he pitted very early, but he's still fairly far back in the pack because of that pit stop.
Well, Derek Kelly has not posted a top 5 in 1997, so the run he's having on the track right now is his best of the season. And he is hanging right there with the leader of Jones. Now, Larry, I guess what I have to wonder is how quickly do these cars that have pitted get up there to race with them?
Well, you know, so far, it doesn't seem like they've been able to work their way back through the pack. You know, you still got 25 or 30 cars on the lead lap, so you're starting a long way back in that line. And it takes a while to get back up through them. And so far, we're taking a look at Gary Layton. He's battling his way back up through there. And, you know, it just takes a long time when there's that many cars running that competitively.
So the 74 car of Layton there racing along with Nesbitt. He goes to the outside of the 67 car. So that you're right, a lot of battles on this track as guys are trying to sort out positions right now. Back to the leaders, and it looks like Kelly is going to take a look to the inside. He thought about it that time, but wasn't able to make the move.
Well, he's certainly running very well. He's really putting a lot of pressure on Jabe Jones, but you'd have to say that Jabe Jones running one of the best races we've seen him run. Oh, big crash down in turns 1 and 2. And again, Jeremy Gerstner involved.
Gerstner along with Jimmy Doyle in the number 91 car. Doyle has not refired yet. And the yellow flag is going to come out once again here at Lakeland.
Yeah, Gerstner having a terrible time here tonight, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but he can't seem to get a handle on this racetrack.
Jabe Jones is the leader of the Commander's Cup 250. Welcome back to the Commander's Cup 250 at Lakeland, Florida. Jabe Jones is the leader of the race, and a good run today for Derek Kelly.
Historian Derek Kelly, as he finally made a pit stop, that his crew actually wanted to make the yellow before. Apparently his radio's gone dead. They've been standing on the wall waving and yelling at him, trying to get his attention. They finally got his attention. That's his only pit stop he's going to make. It just took him a little longer than they planned on it.
Well, Larry, it just goes to show you how important those radios have become today. If you can't communicate with the driver, it just makes it pretty tough.
Right, and we thought they were using strategy, and they just couldn't talk to their driver. I thought really that they were staying out there just so that they could gain advantage and were praying for rain. But obviously they planned on coming in. They just couldn't communicate to the driver to get him in there.
Back when you raced midgets, you didn't have radios in the cars.
Still not allowed midgets in sprint cars and midgets and that sort of thing. But even in the radio, in the Indianapolis cars, when I ran there back in the 70s, we didn't have radios. A lot of car teams did, but we did not.
So you communicated mostly with blackboards and...
Blackboards and signboards, and believe me, this is a much better method. It makes it so much easier for the drivers and crew chiefs to communicate and know what's going on the racetrack.
Ready to go back to racing in the Commander's Cup 250. The pace car is on pit road, and the green flag is back out.
Yes, and we're going to see right now if Jabe Jones can hang on to this lead. And Bob Schacht has moved up into second place. He's one of the guys who hasn't made a pit stop, has moved his way back up towards the front of this field. Seems like he has really gotten his act together. Right at the first of the race, we thought that he was going to have a heck of a time and go towards the back. But boy, the last few laps, well, the last 50 laps or so, he's really been on a tear.
Bob Schacht qualified on the pole tonight, and as you said, fell back. But now giving a bit of a challenge to Jabe Jones as they go down the back straightaway. Can Shaq make the move? He takes a look to the inside as they go down the back straightaway and into turn 3. Shaq will take the lead.
Yeah, he certainly did. He just got on the inside, took the groove away, and Jabe Jones had no choice but to let him go.
And there's another driver back there that's going to school on Shaq. You can see in that black car, and that's Lee Tissett. He's taking the bottom lane now, and he's trying to make the move, and I believe he's going to move into the top 5.
Yeah, Justin Labonte in the 44th car, who's running in 3rd position on the racetrack right there. He also is trying to get up there and gain a position, but can't quite do it right now.
Taking a look back, here's Gary Layton in Tampico Citrus Punch number 74 racing along. And so far tonight, we haven't seen Layton make any presence for the lead or even really much for the top 5.
Well, he's been running very, very well. The problem is there are so many guys that are running fast tonight that it's very hard to make a big move. You know, we've seen guys starting 23rd and 24th and come up through the field. But when you've got 20 cars or so all running almost equally in speed, it's much, much more difficult to make the move back up through there. Look at Potashnik way down on the inside. It looked like it was going to be 3 abreast, but he made it work.
Oh, my. Martin Nesbitt there in the number 82 car just ahead of them. And right now, Sammy Potashnik's going to try to go to the inside of Clayton. Clayton has the preferred line there, but Potashnik's going to take the position. Oh, off of turn number 4. They make a little contact down the front straightaway, and Sammy has to give him the line for right now, but he continues to battle with him through turns 2 and 3.
Well, Sammy's very, very aggressive on the racetrack right now. Did a nice job. Clayton that last time just had to let him have the racetrack. You can see behind them Brad May and Gene Morgan right behind these guys. So a lot of very, very competitive race cars out there. Morgan, who led much of this race, isn't just coming back up through the field passing guys that will. It's difficult to get around these guys.
We talked about some of the chatter on the radio. I'll bet there's a lot of it going on right now with the way these guys are racing.
Yeah, look at Brad May now. He's going to try to get to the inside of Clayton. Meanwhile, Morgan is on the outside of him, so he's pinned. If Clayton blocks him on the bottom, Morgan's going to go around both of them. How far up on the racetrack does he move?
Oh, boy, Gene Morgan's going to get kind of stuck to the backside there. Can he power down the front straightaway to take that position? Oh, to the inside goes Brad May, and they push Clayton up to the high side. Now, folks, earlier in the race, Brad May was trying to get around Gene Morgan to get back on the lead lap, but now both of those drivers are racing for position.
They certainly are. Brad May's done a tremendous job getting back on that lead lap and battling with Morgan. Morgan was very smart there. He didn't try to go through that corner 3 abreast. He knew that was going to be a very silly thing to do. He fell back, went right to the inside of Clayton, and therefore he came out right behind Brad May. He didn't get around him, but at least he's not 3 or 4 car lengths back or in the fence, which would be worse.
Larry, we had talked earlier about how important the crew chief is to try to coach Brad May here and keep him calm to get him back in the lead lap. They've done just that, and now they can go back to racing.
Well, not only coaching, but Brad May's a smart kid, too.
We'll have more racing from the USA International Speedway when we come back after this. Welcome back to USA International Speedway. Martin Nesbitt in the number 82 car is being passed by the number 45, but the leader is the 75, the Engineered Components Ford of Bob Shaq. And he was the pole setter tonight, and that car seems to be working pretty well now as he starts to work his way through some of this lap traffic.
Yeah, and it seems like the longer the race goes, the faster he gets. And either that or everybody else seems to be slowing up. But he's definitely got a nice lead right now. He's running some of the fastest laps he's run all night long and seems to have things well under control. You can see second place not even on the same straightaway with him right now. So what has been a very competitive, close race all night long, right now it looks like he could run away with him a little bit.
So Shaq will go around Derek Countryman in the Lumars Window Films number 33, put him another lap down. And you're right, Larry, he is checking out.
There's Tim Neighbors and Sammy Potashnik battling each other. Morgan right behind them. So those guys are really going after each other. Meanwhile, Shaq just seems to be on a string. That race car is very, very nice through the corners. It's not slipping and sliding, and he's just motoring on by.
1996, Bob Shaq competed in the entire Arca-Bondo Marhide Series, cars very similar to this division. He raced all the races, and in 1997, we've seen him quite a bit as a crew chief, working for a young driver named Kenny Martin out of Cleveland, Ohio. They've been running the super speedways, but tonight, he's got a real good handle on this 3/4-mile track at Lakeland, Florida.
And look at Gene Morgan. He just went around the outside of Sammy Potashnik. He has really got that thing going. He led much of this race in the early stages, Now then, as the race winds on, it seems like he's gotten going again. He had a lot of traffic to get back through, and it looks like he's beginning to get through it now.
And Larry, we continue to talk in just about every race about how important the pit stops are. But again, the strategies that played out here tonight, if it stays the way it is, will have to go show that the best hand to play was to pit early.
Well, it looks like, you know, although Gene Morgan now is back up in the 3rd spot, so it hasn't hurt him all that bad to wait a little later in the race to go in there. So, but it did take him a lot longer to work his way back up towards the front by waiting so long. So we'll see how that all plays out. Right now, it seems like it's for he and Bob Schacht especially, they seem to be two of the fastest race cars on the racetrack.
Bob Schacht with a good lead. Now David Craddock in the number 79 car will get passed by Morgan. And now Morgan's starting to separate a little bit of distance between he and the PTI Chevrolet of Sammy Potashnik.
Yeah, Potashnik and Tim Neighbors both having very good runs here tonight. Those two guys have been around, especially Potashnik, all year long, running for that Rookie of the Year thing, and this is one of his better runs. He's really running good tonight.
Sammy Potashnik, his car being fielded by Andy Hillenberg. They got a pretty good operation going there, and he's having a great run tonight. Now back to the lead is Bob Schacht, and you don't see any other cars in the screen. That's just how much of a lead he has gotten from the field. Oh, and a big problem over in turn number 4 is Martin Nesbitt has gotten the 82 car sideways, and we're back under yellow.
Yeah, and you can see he's heading right straight for the pit area. Everybody did a nice job to miss him. Sitting sideways on the racetrack, it makes that racetrack pretty narrow, but everybody did a nice job getting around him.
Nesbitt's been having a good run tonight in that number 82 car. He got her sideways over in turn 4, and he's going to go down to the pits and just check the car over and see if it's okay. Well, now he's just going to go straight through the pits, so no pit stop this time, but I'm sure he'll come in and have a look.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to lose a lap, and the way the car was sitting on the racetrack, it was easier for him just to go through the pit area than it was to back up and try to stay on the racetrack. So he did the wise thing, got going again, went right straight through the pit area, and fell in at the end of the field.
So Martin Nesbitt very well may go to the pit area to take a look and see what those tires are like. Yeah, he has dropped down to the inside, so he's going to go in and take a look. Now, Schacht stays out on the racetrack. You see Justin Labonte there in the 44 car. And here comes Jabe Jones in the number 09 car. The Albertson sponsorship will go to the pits, and Rick DeBrule is standing by down there.
Jabe Jones hung out in front as long as he felt he could. Once he got into 2nd place, he began to wonder whether the tires were really going to do the same job that they've been doing all day long. But he's had a great run up until now, but this is the one pit stop, mandatory pit stop we might add in this series, that he has to make. He only has to change 2 tires if that's all they want to do. But in this case, it looks like they're going to go ahead and change. Well, they're thinking about changing 4. They've rolled the other 2 out, but now they're just putting in the fuel, and I think they're going to send it back out and probably come back in to make the other 2 tires change a little bit later on.
So Jabe Jones definitely having the best run of the season, and we'll see now whether he is able to get back in there and move that 09 car back up to the front.
Yes, we got a heck of a race coming yet. I'll tell you, there's a long way to go in this race.
Well, we'll get the cars lined up once again, and we'll be back with more racing from the Commander's Cup 250 at the USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida. Back at Lakeland, Florida, and pit stops are becoming part of the day. As we went to break there, we saw that Gary Layton in the number 74 car was right behind the pace car. So you may be saying, just like we were, where's Bob Schacht? Well, Bob Schacht has taken the 75 car down pit road.
Bob Schacht's crew goes to work, changing the right side tires. They've got all the fuel in. They've got the left side tires standing by. He had been leading this race after having starting on the pole, but now he had to come in, change the tires, get set up for what hopefully will be a strong run to the finish. The question is, will he be able to go in? And this is taking too long because they can't get the jack underneath. So they roll it forward just a little bit further. Now they go to work on the left side. There comes a point in time when you have to wonder how much time can you take. We see the pace car starting to come on to the front straightaway. Now the pit crew is in a race against the pace car. He's about 2/3 of a straightaway away. The last few lugs are being put on, hands up, and Bob Schacht is back out before the pace car makes it over this way.
So Schacht will stay on the lead lap, but it appears Gary Layton in the 74 car will be at the front of the field as we get ready to go back to green.
Yeah, 2 pit stops is a little bit unusual. Schacht running very, very well. I'm a little surprised he made that pit stop, but he may have had, you know, some kind of strategy in mind that we don't know about.
Well, he'll have fresh tires for the last part of the race here. Restart at lap 179. Gary Layton is the leader. And the 45 car, Gene Morgan, putting some pressure on him right there. There's a little bit of contact there between the 2 car and the 65 of Sammy Potashnik.
Yeah, Gary Layton doing a nice job. He started back in 14th spot, and he kind of lingered back there in that 12th to 15th position for the first several laps, but once he got going, moved right up in the front about 100 laps into the race, and has run very, very strong ever since that point.
Only has led 82 laps in 1997 coming into the race, but he is the leader now. Will he be when they throw the checker? We'll find out. Layton's car appears to be getting around this track pretty well. He's holding off Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan right now seems to be handling just a tad bit better. Looks like Layton's car is a little bit loose. Looks like Morgan's got a fender underneath him going into the corner. Layton's going to have to let it go.
Battle for the lead as Gene Morgan from Simpsonville, South Carolina will retake the lead here in the Commander's Cup 250.
Well, he led most of this race early, and then after his pit stop, after he made that pit stop, he laid back in the middle of the pack there for a long, long time. Did not come through there, but boy, once the other cars started making their pit stops, he charged through these guys, and now that he's back up front.
Folks, if you're just joining us, it has been pretty much the Gene Morgan show here tonight at USA International Speedway. Larry Rice alongside me. I'm Ray Dunlap. Thanks for joining us here. You're watching the Jackaroo Pro Cup Series. This is the final event of 1997. Of course, Rick DeBrule covering the pits for us tonight. And just to tell you a little bit about what happened in case you've missed it, Mario Goslin has won the 1997 championship, but he is out of the race. He made contact with the wall, and they had a broken sway bar, so he has retired. Mike Laughlin had a strong car in the early stages of the race, but he's out. Jay Fogelman led 38 laps at the first part of the race. He's out of the event. And believe it or not, Marty Ward in the Hooters car has retired also. But that hasn't changed the action here on the track. They've been very, very racy.
They certainly have. You're taking a look there at Lee Tissett, the 47 car. He's in a heck of a battle with Greg Marlowe right there in the 81 car. Ooh, a little bit of contact, it looked like right there, as Tissett having a pretty nice run. Marlowe we haven't seen a lot of this year, and he's right in the thick of things.
They are having a good battle, and that is for position. Greg Marlowe from Troutman, North Carolina, in the James Tool car, and he is having a good run in that number 81.
Tim Neighbors in the 0 car right in front of them. All three of those cars battled for that position, and they've been running nose to tail. Looked like Marlowe was going to get a little bit of a run, maybe get around, but just could not make it work. Look how fast he is right through the middle of the corner.
He gets that car down very low, right down by that yellow line in the center of the turn, so he is taking a bit of a different line. And, Larry, if you're going to have a really great run, one of the best times to do it is the last event of the season. Just gives you all that momentum.
It certainly is. You know, there are a lot of guys that they talk about, they kind of joke about it in the pit area. You know, it's nice to win this week, but next week it's going to be a new winner. But when you win the last race of the year, you're going to brag about it all winter long. And so a lot of guys do take that into account and do like to win that last race.
Charlie Ford in the FCO number 55 is off the pace, and he is smoking in that bright red and white car, and it appears that his day may be over.
Yeah, Charlie Ford, a lot of smoke coming out from underneath that thing. It doesn't look good, because once you start smoking like that, it's pretty hard to get them stopped on the pit, or get the smoke to stop on the pit stop.
Gene Morgan in the Valonite number 45 is the leader, and it appears that his car is very, very strong. Now, part of the strategy that we're going to have to keep our eye on is how good will Bob Shack's car be now that he is pitted for fresher tires. Can he make it back through all that lap traffic and get up here? Well, we'll find out.
That's right. Gary Layton hanging on, though. He's running a nice race. He doesn't seem to be losing a lot of ground to Gene Morgan. So he's hanging around. He's right where he wants to be. He's in contention. And all you have to do in this racing business is be around and be in a position to take advantage of somebody else.
Gene Morgan and Gary Layton both have 7 top 10s in 1997. And we've got a car spun. That is Jimmy Doyle, who is going to bring out the yellow one more time.
Yeah, there's another white car sitting down there in the pit area as well on the inside, so I don't know who that was, couldn't tell.
Gene Morgan is the leader, but look at this. Potashnik and Brad May running 3rd and 4th. Welcome back to USA International Speedway at Lakeland, Florida. Under caution once again here, as we are going 250 laps. That's the distance of tonight's race. And we are closing in on the finish as we speak.
Yeah, Martin Nesbitt pulling back out on the racetrack. Looks like Jerry Rector in there in the pits. So some of the guys making some late race pit stops. These are probably not exactly what they had planned, but at least they're getting back on the racetrack trying to finish the race.
And there's Calvin Redwine, Larry. That was the other car that you had mentioned that was involved in that crash, and you can tell by the look of the front of his grill that he certainly was.
Yeah, I think that he probably gave a little nudge there a while ago. That's what caused that whole thing, and both of those cars ended up sitting still and having to bring out the yellow flag.
So with the yellow out, we can take a look here at Tim Clayton in the 07 car going to the pits, and Clayton is one of those drivers that has had a really good season when you look at things like laps completed. I mean, Tim Clayton has completed 94% of the laps he's raced this year. Hasn't won, but just finishing every race is quite a thing.
Well, and that's kept him right in the rookie battle. He's, along with Potashnik and Lee Tissett, and Brad May is right in that battle for the rookie standings, and he's looking for a good finish here today. This is where it's going to be decided. Right now, Sammy Potashnik, Brad May, both running very, very well on the racetrack.
And there you see Potashnik in the number 65, right behind Gary Layton and Gene Morgan. So running third tonight, that's about the best we've seen him all season long. A great run for Sammy Potashnik, who's from Sikeston, Missouri.
And he's learned a lot this year. The beginning of the year, he was struggling. They were trying to get the race car set up. Didn't hit a lot on the good setups, but boy, he has learned tremendously over the year. Along with his crew, they've learned a lot, and you can just see them steadily progressing, getting better and better every week. And now then, this is the fruition of all that. They're coming running in the top of the field, and I'm sure they're very satisfied.
Well, and really, Larry, that is the bottom line of an introductory series like this, is to give guys that opportunity to get out there and get that seat time. When you get that experience, if you learn a little bit of something every week, that certainly will pay off.
Let's go down to the pit area right now with Richter Brule. He's with Sammy's crew chief.
Well, Fred Rompler is Sammy's crew chief. Let's talk about how much is left in this car. Can he move up at all at this point?
Well, we're trying. The car's staying nice and steady. We put right side tires on lap 95. They've been on it quite a while, but he hasn't been dropping any time at all. So hopefully he should stay for the last 35 laps.
But after all the bad luck you guys have had this year, you got to be happy to be right where you're at.
We're steady right now. The PTI AAA is running really good. Hold on now for top 5. We'll be steady.
Well, Sammy Potashnik has run all 10 races in the series, and twice he's been in the top 10. His best finish of the year was 6th place, so top 5 is certainly going to make him happy.
Well, that was a little confirmation of what we were talking about, how well they have come through this year, how much they've learned, and I think that every time they improved, that's just very satisfying for a crew, a young crew that comes together like this with a young driver. And we've talked to Sammy before, very nice young man. He's very happy with this series, very happy with what he's done, and I'm sure this will just kind of climax the whole year for him.
If he's able to hold on.
If he's able to hold on, right.
No doubt. Gene Morgan from Simpsonville, South Carolina, in the number 45 car is your leader, and I believe we're going to see the green flag this time out of turn 4. We're back underway.
Well, Gene Morgan, we'll see if he can just kind of continue to take off and lead this thing. He's done it very easily earlier in the race. Right now, Gary Layton trying to hang on. He's having a little trouble with the lap traffic up there. He needs to get around them if he wants to be back in contention to take that lead away.
54 laps remaining here in the Commander's Cup 250, and a battle down the front straightaway as Potashnik is running alongside the 12 car of Tim Edwards. There is David Craddock in the Semsco number 79, and he is moving up there. We got a good battle going on back here, and there is Brad May and Lee Tissett. And we keep talking about this rookie battle, but boy, the outcome of tonight's race is going to be so important, and there is Potashnik.
Look at that. Right.
All 3 of those guys.
1, 2, 3, 4, right in a row. All 4 of the guys in the battle for this rookie thing are running right together. Potashnik, May, you know, the whole bunch of them, Tissett, and then Clayton, all of them right together.
So the Rookie of the Year is on the line. The championship, of course, has all been decided. And Mario Goslin has wrapped up the 1997 Jackaroo Pro Cup Championship. And as we told you earlier, Goslin fell out of the race at lap 128, so not a factor tonight. But we're wondering whether Gary Layton or any of these guys that we're talking about are going to be able to do anything to challenge Gene Morgan.
Gene Morgan, you can see right there the lap car motioning everybody around the outside. That's David Craddock motioning everybody to go around him. But right now, Gene Morgan looks very, very tough. If we take a look back to the field, Johnny Rumley, we haven't said much about him. He's up to 8th place. So there's some good runs going on here for some guys who desperately need it here at the end of the year.
Definitely the best run of the season for Johnny Rumley from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, making it into the top 10 there in the 29 car.
Right now, Brad May has gotten around Sammy Potashnik.
We're going to take a break from Lakeland, Florida. We'll be back with more racing. Don't go away. The racing continues here on the 3/4 mile USA International Speedway from Lakeland, Florida. It's the 11th event of 1997 in the Jackaroo Pro Cup Series, and we're at lap 203. 250 make up the distance.
And Gene Morgan seems to have this thing well in hand at this point. He's not just pulling away from everybody, but it's just slowly but surely, you know, half a car length at a time, he is drawn out to a 6 or 7 car length lead right now.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction, Larry, and I'm going to say that if something happens to Gene Morgan and he does not win this race, we will have a first-time winner this season.
That's because there's nobody else in the top 5 that's won a race. Is that correct?
That's right. Chad Chaffin has won 2 this season. He's out of the event. Mario Gosselin's won 5 races this year. He's out of the event. And Marty Ward, he's out of the event. So,
and it looks like Jimmy Doyle might be out of the event as well. He's coasting very, very slowly down on the inside of the racetrack, down in between turns 3 and 4, trying to get back into the pit area so he does not bring out a yellow flag.
The Way Crazies Barbecue, number 91, looks like he may be heading for the pits. Back up front, it is all the powder blue number 45 of Gene Morgan. And what a season he's had. I mean, he won the race at Milwaukee, so we thought.
Yeah.
And then they find out that he didn't win the race because Chad Chaffin did.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. I mean, that had to be a very, very frustrating day for him. But ever since they've changed this paint job, put this paint job on, it seems like it brought him a little bit of luck because he has been running better. He's been running a lot more consistently up front with this new paint job, and I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. But sometimes, in a driver's mind, you know, it doesn't take much to give you that confidence.
I guess that was Kingsport at that race. I'm sorry, not Milwaukee. I stand corrected. Back to the racing action right now, and there is the number 29 car. We haven't talked about Johnny Rumley too much, but he is having a good, steady run tonight there as he is tucked in right behind David Craddock. And look at this. Here comes Bob Schacht in the number 75 car. He made that late race pit stop to get some fresh tires, and he is working his way back through the pack. And that pass right there is going to move Schacht up to 7th place.
Yeah, he has come a long way back. Again, there's so many cars on the lead lap. I think there's still around 25, 27 cars on the lead lap. So he had a lot of race cars to pass. The biggest problem he's got is, will he have enough time? It's very time-consuming to pick your way through this field one car at a time. I'm sure he's as fast as anybody on the racetrack, but as he has enough time, I don't know.
And a lot of the guys right in front of him, Larry, are running too wide, racing with people on the track. So now, as he goes to the inside of David Craddock, he's going to pick up that position. But right ahead of him, there's 3 cars, so he's got more people to pass.
Oh, that's right. And you can see all the time Gene Morgan out there in clear ground. Nobody in front of him, a few lap cars, but he's just sailing, and he just keeps putting more and more distance between him because Schacht having trouble with the traffic. You just can't run as fast when you're in heavy traffic like that.
There is Derek Kelly in the number 16 car, the Discount Auto Parts car. Another one of those drivers who's having a great run tonight, his best of the season, as he is up there in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's run very consistently in that top 10 all day long, or all night long, I should say. He's been very, very tough and very, you know, just one of the good runs for this kid. And you're very happy to see the guys that come out here on the last race and have a very, very good run to end the season with. It gives them a lot of confidence going into next year.
Well, you see that brand new paint job there on the number 16. They had to do that because the last race they totaled the race car and it was like start over. So this will probably be a pretty good reward for that entire 16 crew.
Well, Lee Tissot right in front of him he's had a very good year as well. He's not, unlike some of the other guys, he is used to running up front. He's run up front in several different races this year so far and having another great run here tonight.
Gene Morgan won the last race that we had here at USA International Speedway in these Jackaroo Pro Cup cars, and it appears that the race car that he's got under him tonight is just as strong as that one because he is starting to break away from the rest of the field, having a great event tonight here in the Commander's Cup 250.
The race car is very steady, very secure. It doesn't seem to be sliding or moving around the racetrack at all.
Inside of 50 laps, we'll find out if Morgan can hold on to win this race. Welcome back to the Commander's Cup 250 at Lakeland, Florida. Sammy Potashnik in the PTI Chevrolet having a good run tonight at lap 215. We've got 35 laps to go, and here comes Derek Kelly. These two are racing for position, and down the back straightaway, it appears that Kelly's going to pick up that spot.
Yeah, Derek Kelly really been running fast the last several laps. He's gained a lot of ground on Potassic. I think Sammy, even though he's still running very, very well, I think the tires are beginning to get a little bit older, and I think he's having just a little bit of trouble keeping that race car as quick through the corners as he'd like.
Larry, we've got 19 or 20 cars on the lead lap, and I know you've talked about this a little bit, but that really changes your race strategy as the closing laps come down, because you have to know who you're racing with.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing is, if a yellow flag comes out with, let's say, 25 laps to go, and you've only got 5 cars on the lead lap, it's a lot easier to go in and put on new tires and take that chance so you can pass 4 cars. But if there's 20 cars out there, you can't go in unless everybody else does, because you are absolutely not going to pass 20 cars or 15 cars, and it's only 25 laps to go. So these guys, with as many cars on the lead lap as there are, everybody's got to go with what they've got, because if they pit now, there's no way they're going to get back up in front.
We've seen Bob Shack coming on pretty strong throughout the race, as we just saw him go by the speed shot there. The question is, does he have enough time to get through the rest of the cars in the field and get up there to run with Gene Morgan? He's got the newest tires, and another car that's starting to come on pretty strong is Gary Layton. Right there we see him in the 74 car. He's running in second, and he seems to be kind of closing up that gap.
Yeah, he's been very consistent all day long. He just is in a good track position here in the later part of the races. He ended up in 15th there early in the race, kind of hung there. But now that he's up there right behind Gene Morgan, Gene seems to be able to pull away ever so slightly, but then every once in a while, Layton will seem to kind of catch back up with him a car length or two. It's going to take a yellow flag and a little bit of help for him to get back around Morgan, unless the tire wear does play a part in this.
There's Johnny Rumley in the 29 car racing along. Here's Bob Shack as he tries to make a move to the outside to go around Tim Edwards in the number 12. Of course, Edwards' car is a bit banged up there after one of those earlier race cautions. So his car probably not performing quite as well as he would like. And aerodynamics do make a difference on this size of a racetrack.
Well, it's a pretty large racetrack. Definitely makes a difference. If you've got something like that, it's going to slow you down just a little bit. Meanwhile, Shack seems to be having no problems at all. He's slowly but surely working his way towards the front of this race.
Very important for Tim Edwards to stay out on the track, though, Larry, because coming into the race, he was 8th in the points, and he was just 23 points behind Marty Ward. Now, Marty Ward has already fallen out of the race, and he will be posted in 39th position. So it appears that Tim Edwards is going to be able to make a move in the point standings.
Yes, and that's very important. There's a lot of money up in the point standings. That's one thing about this Hooters Pro Cup Series is there's a lot of money in the point standings at the year end. Of course, Mario Goslin's already got his share, but everybody else back in there is still battling for their share of that money.
I'll tell you, the guy that's got to be hating seeing Gene Morgan leading this race is Jerry Rector, because he was 5th in the points, and he came in 1 point behind Gene Morgan. Just 1 point. That's all he had to do is pass him by 1 position. That's going to be pretty tough if Morgan wins the race.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen unless Gene Morgan has some terrible, terrible luck, because he has been in command or near the front all race long, while Jerry Rector has not had one of his better days.
Brad May is having a good run today. I'm looking through the points here, seeing that he was in 11th, so he very well may be able to break into the top 10 in the final point standings, which would probably push Charlie Ford out of the top 10.
Yeah, and you can take a look back here. A lot of those rookies right up front. Johnny Rumley having a great run, and Bob Shack in 8th place, heading for the front.
We're coming into the closing laps of the Commander's Cup 250. Stay with us. We'll find out who will be the winner. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you the action from the Commander's Cup 250. We've got some excellent battles on the racetrack for position. No one seeming to be able to give anything to Gene Morgan, who is the leader of the race here. But,
yeah, Gary Layton is back there about a half a straightaway behind. And like you said a little bit earlier, every once in a while he can gain on him. When Gene gets into the lap traffic, he gains a little bit. But right now, Morgan is just completely dominating this field. And he did that the first, let's say 60 or 70 laps as well. And right in the middle of the race, didn't look to be all that good for him. Looked like he might have some problems, but boy, once he gets out front, he just kind of takes off and runs away.
And he's got some clear racetrack ahead of him, too. Here's Don Satterfield running alongside the number 82 car, and we see the 07 car of Tim Clayton tucked in right behind Martin Nesbitt there. And looks like Clayton's going to try to make the move Nesbitt slows up as they go into the center of the turn, but then he gets power again coming off the turn.
Yes, and you can see right behind them, that's Brad May back there behind. He just went by on the inside, and there's Kelly. So there's a lot of battles back in that area of the field. These guys really working hard on each other. Brad May, he's done a tremendous job coming from one lap down to get back in the thick of things.
So far, I think that has to be the story of the race, Larry, is the fact that they had the patience to know that this is a long race, 250 laps. You have a lot of time. He got back up in there, and boy, Tim Clayton slows down Derek Kelly. And we have trouble over in turn number 4 as Lee Tissett has gotten spun around, and we see the 2 car has made pretty significant impact with the wall.
Yeah, that's a bad break for Lee Tissett. He's been up there battling pretty much all day long in that lead pack. And when he got tangled up in this thing, it's going to cost him a little bit of ground, maybe not a whole lot, but it looks like it's going to cost Jeremy Gerster a lot of ground and probably will end his day.
Well, Jeremy's been involved in 3 or 4 of the yellow flags that we've had, but they were all just for spins. This one looks like a little bit more damage to that 2 car. Yep, I'm not so sure if he'll be able to get that one going again or not.
Yeah, you can see the front bumper laying down the middle of the racetrack. He's climbing out of the car, and I'd say that's a pretty good indication. Looks like the whole front end's broken, the steering arms and everything under there broken. So it's probably going to be the end of the day for him, and he'll have to go home and regroup and come back again next year.
He'll be headed back to Denver, North Carolina, and they'll have plenty of time to work on that race car. Here's a look at what happened. We're already in progress. We see Tissett was already spun down there whenever Jeremy made the contact, so not quite sure what happened there. That's not the best look we've had.
Yeah, Tissett was, he obviously started that thing, Jeremy Gerster trying to miss that whole thing, got into the fence very, very hard. Lucky break for Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. They get a lot of airtime right there, don't they?
Sure, and Jeremy is out of the car, folks, so that's him walking around there. We know he's okay, and that's the most important thing, as once again we're under yellow here at Lakeland, Florida.
Justin Labonte going by. Looks like Craddock got some front end damage as well. He might have got into somebody during that crash. You can see the front end of the hood of that thing all bent up. So he's made some contact. That was not like that before this incident.
So Lee Tissett, as we've documented all race long, right in the thick of that rookie battle, and he was running right up there very close to Brad May, but he is going to lose some track position here, and we just have a few laps remaining. So that may play out to be a factor in who wins this Rookie of the Year title.
And we talked about the fact that he cannot really afford to go in. Unless he's really got some badly flat spotted tires, he cannot afford to go in and change those tires. He's going to lose too much track position. He's just going to have to hang on where he's at and hope he can do as well as he can do, because pulling in, falling back to around 18th or 20th spot would be pretty much disastrous for that Rookie of the Year honors.
Well, Jay Fogelman led 38 laps in the early part of tonight's event. We saw Jabe Jones out for 17 circuits in the lead. Bob Schacht has had his number 75 car up front, and just for a few laps it was Gary Layton. But in the very closing stages of this race, it appears that Gene Morgan has definitely the car to beat.
And there you see David Craddock heading for the infield. He obviously was mixed up in that tangle up there in some form or another. Oh, they're jumping up and down on the hood of that thing. They want to get her back flattened out. They're going to take some tape and run across there to hold the hood down now. But they have to make sure that it is secured, or they won't let them go back on the racetrack with that thing flopping around.
So the crew taking care of the damages there to the Semsco number 79, and they'll try to get Craddock back out onto the racetrack. The safety crew over there trying to figure out just how they're going to hook up the number 2 car and get it off the racetrack so we can go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, Craddock back on the racetrack. Obviously, they fixed it to the satisfaction of the officials, and he's headed back for the racetrack. But he's going to lose a lot of laps, a lot of time there while he was doing that. Meanwhile, Gene Morgan, Gary Layton are the 2 guys up front there that seem to be the guys that are battling. If Schacht can get back through the rest of that traffic, he could become a factor.
So the 74 car of Gary Layton has not been a winner in 1997. He's running second right now. Can he make a challenge on Gene Morgan is the big question. The answer is forthcoming here as we go through the closing laps of the Commander's Cup 250.
And his best chance is going to be on the restart. I think he knows that. Probably Gene Morgan knows that as well. So when the restart comes, you're going to see Layton, if he's got anything, he's going to try to make his move. Once he gets in front of him, maybe he can use a lot of racetrack and keep him behind there. But in an open track, after the tires get warm, it just appears that Gene Morgan is faster than he is. So I think you're going to see him make his best move on the restart.
You see that third car in line there, the number 33 of Derek Countryman, is not on the lead lap, so when they get lined up, the field will be different. Well, a great run tonight for the 16 car. Rick DeBruhl's with the crew chief.
Howard McMahon is Derek Kelly's crew chief. You guys are having the Commander's Cup 270 today. You had to run a consolation race just to get in this race.
Yeah, it's been a rough week from the start. We just bought this car Tuesday, and we ended up qualifying in the rear because we were finishing the car up here, and it's been rough.
Now, he's made an incredible charge to get back up to the front of the pack.
The car's come around perfect. As soon as it gets down a few gallons on fuel, it loosens up, and the car comes great.
All right, we've got a yellow. Not much time to go. Is this what he needs to maybe move up and take that top position?
We need a few more of these. We're kind of hoping we're going to be okay on fuel. We're kind of pushing it right now.
So you want a last sprint to the finish?
Yeah, I want a caution until 10 laps to go.
Well, we know what's on his Christmas wish list, but I'm not so sure they're going to get that one.
Well, I'll tell you, he started at 40th position, now running in 4th. That whole team has done one heck of a job.
Well, we'll have the close of the Commander's Cup 250 when we come back to Lakeland, Florida. Welcome back to Lakeland, Florida. It appears that rain will not determine the finish of tonight's race, although it did determine the starting time. It appears we're going to be able to race for the finish here in the Commander's Cup 250. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice and Rick DeBruhl. Hopefully we will see the indication that we're going to go back to racing here very quickly as they clean the number 2 car off the racetrack.
Well, we've talked about this before, but you can definitely see where the water has been prevalent on the racetrack the whole race long. It's still a little bit wet on the top side of the racetrack. There was a lot of rain after they got ready to start this race. We delayed the start of the race for 4 hours and barely had the racetrack dry enough to start. It actually ran a few laps at the beginning of the race under the yellow, which they counted just to get things going and finish drying the racetrack.
Every time we've come to USA International Speedway in 1997, we've had some precipitation coming down out of the sky.
And the locals tell you that it never rains except when we come to town, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. Well, Brad May in the number 70 Naturally Fresh car has had a career run tonight. He is currently shown in the top 5. Same thing for the 16 car of Derek Kelly. And we heard from the crew chief that they're loving the fact that we're running under caution here.
And they finished the car here at the racetrack after getting it on Tuesday. Came from 40th, starting the semi, coming through from 40th position up to 4th, and still very, very strong on the racetrack right now. So they've got to be just beyond themselves that things have come together this quickly and this well.
One victory in 1997 for Gene Morgan. He won right here at the USA International Speedway. Gary Layton has yet to win in this Jackaroo Pro Cup Series. Brad May has yet to win. Derek Kelly has yet to win. Can any of these drivers go up and mount a challenge against Gene Morgan? We'll find out here very shortly.
Well, so far they have not been able to, but a guy like Kelly has been battling all the way from 40th. He still, I believe, has a chance. Brad May have a chance. Gary Layton just doesn't seem to have it. He's been behind him on 2 or 3 occasions. He just seems to have the second best race car on the racetrack at this point. And they can't take a chance. They cannot go into pits and change anything and lose all that track position. So he's going to have to struggle with what he's got. And I think that's all that works to Gene Morgan's advantage right now. He's in the catbird seat. If he doesn't make a mistake or doesn't have problems with the race car, it's everybody else's race to come get him.
I'm not too sure whether it's all engine or whether it's rear end gearing or transmission, but it appears that Gene Morgan gets a lot better restart coming off of turn 4 than Gary Layton. We'll see if that holds true throughout the close here. In the final laps of the Commander's Cup 250, I think we're just about ready to find out.
Well, the gearing does have a lot to do with it. Some guys like to run very high gears, which makes the race car a little easier to drive. But it really hurts you getting off of the corners and on restart. So you have to take all those things into consideration when you choose that gear ratio for the race car.
The 2 car has been pulled off the racetrack on a rollback, and I think we're going to get the indication of 1 lap to go. Yes, we do. The flagman says 1 lap to go, and we'll be back under green. A very long caution here, but this is going to set up a whale of a finish, I believe.
And look at all the cars still on the lead lap. I think that's the one thing that impresses me most about this race. There were races early in the season when we only had 3 and 4 cars on the lead lap at this point in the race. Now we come to the last race of the year and we've still got 17 or 18 cars on the lead lap. Well, most of them have been very competitive all day long.
Absolutely. Down to the inside is Derek Countryman and Don Satterfield in the number 1 car. They will probably let these leaders go and have a good battle. We'll come off at turn number 4 this time, see if we get the green flag. The pace car is off the track, and Gene Morgan will get the green, and we're back underway.
Well, Gary Layton desperately needed to make a jump, and as you said before, look at Gene Morgan. He just leaps away from Layton on that restart, and without that good restart, it's going to be very, very difficult for Layton to come through. Meanwhile, Brad May is all over Layton.
Brad May taking a look for second place there as he is trying to figure out the best line around this 3/4 mile racetrack. Derek Kelly running back there in 4th position in the number 16 Discount Auto Parts car, having a good run, and Bob Shack now starting to work his way up through the pack.
Yeah, Bob Shack, Sammy Potashnik still hanging in there in 5th position, but Brad May seems to be the guy right now that's all over Gary Layton. He knows he's got to get around him to have any shot at Morgan, and Morgan, once again, he doesn't just jump away and take off and hide from everybody, but he does it in such minute little increments you don't hardly see it. A half a car length a lap, and it's pretty soon he's 6 or 7 car lengths ahead.
Food Lion on the back bumper there of Gary Layton's Tampico Citrus Punch number 74. Brand new sponsorship for Brad May from Naturally Fresh, and some very good-looking fast race cars up here at the front. But I think you're right, Larry. They're going to have a tough time catching and passing Gene Morgan.
Derek Kelly, after he fell back just a little bit on that start, now then all of a sudden he is back up there right behind Brad May. It looks like he wants to go after him. He's running a little bit higher line, just testing it up there, seeing if he can maybe make that move around the outside.
Gary Layton runs in 2nd, then it's Brad May, and just getting a little bit squirrely over in the center of the turn was Derek Kelly. Looked like the car got away from him.
Yeah, it did. He had to chase that race car up the racetrack a little bit. He didn't want to do that, and it cost him about 4 or 5 car lengths on the racetrack. So that's not good. It could be an indication that the tires are beginning to wear just a little bit on some of these cars.
A number of guys in position to get their best career finish tonight. Gary Layton's best finish ever is 3rd place. He currently runs in 2nd. Can he hold on to that? How about Brad May? Same thing. 3rd would be a career best for Brad May and for Derek Kelly. So all of these guys really hoping to hold on or improve their position.
Well, right now, Brad May's, I think he's still got ideas that he might be able to come from that 1 lap down and win this race, because he seems to be a little bit faster than Gary Layton. And if he got around Gary, he might be able to get up there and give a challenge to Morgan. I don't think Layton's going to be able to do it.
If you missed the first part of the race, folks, Brad May got stuck in the pits having a bad pit stop there early in the race and got a lap down, and they had some patience. They moved their way back into the opportunity to get in the lead lap, and now he's running 3rd.
And it's a real tribute not only to Brad, but to his crew and everybody else, that they didn't panic, they didn't do anything silly. They went out there and went about their business the way they should, and they have gotten right back into the thick of things, and right now are in, I think, in contention to win this race.
The 11th event of 1997. This is the final show of 1997. The championship's been determined. Mario Goslin from Florida has won the championship. That's all wrapped up, even though he dropped out of the race earlier tonight. But who's going to win this race? Will there be bragging rights for a first-time winner, or will Gene Morgan take his 2nd checkered flag of the season?
Well, Gene Morgan, as we've said, he looks to be very, very confident, very, very dominant right now. Although every once in a while, as Gary Layton's doing right now, he's making a little bit of a run on him. If the white flag comes out, he's only got 1 lap to go, so it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I think it's too late now, but a good run for all of these drivers. Gene Morgan from Simpsonville, South Carolina. The sponsorship on that number 45 is from Balinite. And if he can hold on down through turns 3 and 4, he will win tonight's Commander's Cup 250. I believe he's got her in the bag this time, Larry. Down the front straightaway, the winner is Gene Morgan.
Well, it's a well-deserved win. He was pretty dominant the whole race long. Gary Layton did everything he could do. He ran a great race, as did Brad May. I think both these guys should be very proud of what they did. But in the end, Gene Morgan just had too much for them.
Let's give a call to Bob Shack from Chapin, South Carolina. Started on the pole and dropped back early. Had to battle his way back through the pack 3 different times. He'll finish 4th. And another good run for Sammy Potashnik, who will post the 5th position. Again, a career best.
Yeah, Johnny Rumley had a great run. Greg Marlowe finished in 7th. And Derek Kelly lost 4 spots to finish 8th. So he lost more spots. Once that car started going away and he chased it up the racetrack, he steadily fell back there the last few laps.
Well, Gene Morgan had one victory taken away from him earlier this year. He thought he was the victor. It turned out Chad Chaffin had won the race, but tonight, I don't believe there's any question about it. The number 45 car, the best of the field tonight. And there's Brad May, and it is official. He is going to win the Rookie of the Year championship by finishing in 3rd position, just 2 spots ahead of one of his rivals, Sammy Potashnik. Both of those guys can be very proud of great seasons in 1997.
That's right. He beat him by just about 25 points, so he didn't beat him by much either.
The Hooters girls are celebrating, and the final event of 1997 is over. We'll talk to the winner when we come back to the USA International Speedway after this. Today's running of the Commander's Cup 250 has been brought to you by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. And by Jackaroo Meat Sauce. If you've got regular meat sauce, folks, you ain't got Jack. And by Naturally Fresh, pure spring mountain water. It's naturally refreshing. Well, the race is over, and Gene Morgan is the winner. He is standing by with our Rick DeBrule. Let's go meet the winner.
Well, Gene Morgan, everybody else kept hoping for yellow so they could catch up to you. And every time they had a yellow, you just ran away with it again.
Yeah, car really run good after we changed tires. It was pushing a little bit on that first set, but it really run good on the second set of tires.
You know, back behind you, there was a great rookie battle. All these young pups running behind you. Was it great to be in front of the young pups?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be in front anytime.
You made it sure look easy tonight.
No, it wasn't easy now.
Well, I don't know. Gene Morgan's pretty modest there, Larry. It looked kind of easy to me.
Well, he once he got around, right here, got around Gary Layton, it did seem pretty easy. I mean, he ran that race car hard, but, you know, the race car was really working for him.
He led 118 laps en route to the victory, the Commander's Cup 250. Johnny Rumley posting a 6th-place finish with Marlo Kelly. And look at this, Justin Labonte, good run, another top 10 for that youngster.
And he came from a lap down as well early in the race. Chad Chaffin in a new car finishes in 12th, Brad Means 13th.
Mickey Hudspeth will be posted 16th, and as we look down through the field, you can see where your favorite driver finished in the final results of this 11th race of 1997.
Yes, and there were 17 cars that finished on the lead lap, which is very, very unusual.
Looking back through the field, we see Darrell Gwynn there. Jack Morace will be posted in 31st. And look at this, all the way back there. In 35th place was Mario Goslin, and he will be crowned the 1997 champion.
All right, we have talked so many times this year about luck, bad luck, good luck, how you going to do it. This is it. This is the last interview we're going to do for this year.
That's it.
Anything left to say?
Well, you know, I really got to thank Jackaroo Meat Sauce, Steakhouse,
like that.
Automotive Specialist Penske, Hess Race Cars, Contour Yachts.
What about these folks behind you?
Oh, they've done a good job. My crew. Woo!
Congratulations, champion.
It's a full team effort, I'll tell you.
All right, congratulations.
Thanks.
So congratulations to Mario Goslin. He won the Miller Lite National Championship points, and from Lake Wales, Florida, he and his wife, Michelle, I'm sure will do quite a bit of celebrating.
And I don't blame him one bit. He's right about one thing. It is a team effort, and the whole team deserves a lot of credit.
Well, teamwork paid off for Mario Goslin and for Brad May, who will be the Rookie of the Year.
Well, no one can ever accuse Brad May of coasting to the Rookie Championship. You had to earn this one.
Oh, we went a lap down early, and the car was really working good. The brakes were going away a little bit, and we had to really work for it. Naturally Fresh Foods, man, I'm glad they were here to see this one.
Now, a lot of times this season, the rookies have kind of been alone up there. You had the other two main competitors right behind you.
I knew there was 3 or 4 of us all in a row there for a while, and I ran it as hard as I could, and we had something go wrong with the right front tire. Had to come in and repit, but it worked good.
Were you considering going for that second spot right towards the end?
Oh, I was trying my hardest. Naturally Fresh Foods really helps. Dennis Boyd Engines, that's really, man, he is making some power today. You can see that.
Well, congratulations, Rookie of the Year, Brad May.
Way to go, Brad. Way to go, buddy. So a great season all the way around for all the rookies and for the drivers who went to victory lane. The second win of 1997 goes to Gene Morgan. Congratulations to him and the entire crew of the Valonite number 45. Larry, your final thoughts on this 1997 season?
Well, I think it's been a great year. We saw a lot of good drivers win races, but most of all, we saw a lot of very talented young guys get great breaks in a great series. Brad May, Sammy Potashnik, Lee Tissa, Tim Clayton, all these guys, all the rookies did a tremendous job. I'm happy for them, and I think next year's even going to be better with their experience.
There'll be 20 events in 1997. Hope you'll join us right here on ESPN2 for all the races. Congratulations goes out to 26-year-old Mario Gosselin. He is the champion of the inaugural series of the USAR Jackaroo Pro Cup division. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice, and special thanks goes to Rick DeBrule down in the pits. This has been a presentation of ESPN. We are the worldwide leader in sport.